Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Shivers. And this movie came out in 1975, and this is directed by David Cronenberg, and I believe this was his first feature film. I was curious to check this movie out because I like David Cronenberg, and I was interested to see like where did he start, and I believe he did like a bunch of like shorts or music videos like before this. Point being, like he had a bunch of credits before this movie came out, and I think this was his first feature. That's what grabbed my attention, and also I found this at Walmart recently, and I just picked it up in the hopes that it would be good, and I enjoyed the movie overall. It had some charm, and I liked that it was a film that was basically made for nothing, and it didn't even have like $200,000 budget, and or I'm not sure if that's adjusted for inflation or not, but still, that's pretty low. That's if it's not adjusted for inflation, I think that's like lower than Halloween. And what they managed to pull off in this movie, I think, is pretty impressive. And the acting is like not the best thing in the world. Like there are some issues I have with the acting. Like sometimes it's a bit held back, and I just imagine like probably because they didn't have the budget to like do reshoots or something, or try another take or something like that. And that's what was going through my mind. And they did what they had to, and they had resources, and they just made the most of them, is what I imagined that they did. And what we got was a solid horror movie from 1975, and I believe this is a cult classic film. And there are definitely a lot of things that I like about the movie. And one thing that I would like to point out right off the bat is in the opening scene, there's narration of a nameless character that we don't see, and it just establishes the location that we're at. And I think the movie does a good job at that. And the pacing, I think, is pretty good for most of it, especially in the first half of the movie. In the second half, that's where I start to run into some issues, but we'll get into that later. But first half, it started strong. I also really enjoyed the mystery angle of the film, because this movie does kind of hint at like something bad is going on, and it shows 2 points of view at the same time that eventually line up. And I like that because it shows you that, like, oh, some horror is going to happen. And it happens pretty early on. And it's a very unique way of showing the first death in the film. And that was interesting. And I liked where the story goes. And I like some of the characters, even if some of them are stupid. Some of them are memorable. Like mostly the main character, and some things that characters talk about when we're given breaks from the story. Sometimes characters will just casually talk, and those are some of my favorite moments in the film, is just characters talking. And it's like, yeah, this feels natural how people would talk. And there's a lot of sex in this movie, lots of nudity, and I feel as though there is a purpose to it. And the movie is trying to make comments on that, and that's something that I liked about it. And the movie looks nice. It's not poorly shot in every scene. And my only criticism, visually speaking, with this movie would be that there are scenes that are a bit blown out with the lighting, and there's lots of white rooms, and it's very bright, and it was kind of distracting for me. But that's not the whole movie, luckily. The movie also does a good job at making the characters feel as though they're in danger, and like nowhere in this entire hotel is safe, especially after a certain point. Like nothing is like guaranteed, like, yeah, you'll get out if you're alive. And I was expecting this to be somewhat of a body horror type film, because that's what I kind of know David Cronenberg movies to be. And sure enough, there is. And I liked the body horror element of the film. I think it added a lot to the film. And going back to the movie's budget, like, you can kind of tell that it's a low budget movie at a lot of points, and they just did the best that they could. And while I do see that, I do feel as though that's part of the charm of the movie is like, yeah, they made a movie. They had an idea, they did what they could, and this is the end result. And don't get me wrong, I still like this movie, but you can kind of tell it was a bit cheap to make. Like there were some stock sound effects at certain points, and also when it came to the story, as much as I liked the first half of the movie because things were being set up pretty well, once we got into the second half, it didn't get immediately bad for me. It just like kind of slowly, progressively got a bit boring for me because it started to get repetitive, and I was like, do we have nothing else to explore in this film? And sure enough, there was like very little that it had left to offer, and we had like, I don't know, 40 minutes left, and I was just waiting for the movie to end because it was kind of like out of things to do in terms of where the story could go. And that's about all I have to say about Shivers. It was good. I liked it. There are things that I appreciate about it, and I like it. The horror element and some of the effects, sometimes they don't look the best. Like the blood, sometimes it just looks like red paint, but I do feel as though there are more things to like than dislike in this film. And I would recommend that you check this movie out, and I would watch this movie again. So check it out whenever you get the chance, and with all that being said, I'm going to give Shivers a 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Shivers, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for, and I'm probably going to mispronounce the title of this movie, Memoirs of a Geisha, something like that. I don't know. I probably destroyed that name, but I did the best that I could, so I tried. But anyways, that's going to be my next review. But until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.